Hi, I'm Wes Allen with DM Tales, and Ecclesicon 2026 is in the books. Now, we're still reconciling numbers to get the final tally, which will come out as soon as I catch up on some sleep and rest, but it looks like we're somewhere between $7,000 and $8,000 raised for our beneficiaries. That number is going to flex a bit, but that looks to be where we are. Am I pleased? Yes. Do I have thoughts? Also, yes, and I've had enough coffee to formulate them. Let's roll it. I was sweating as Ecclesicon approached because registrations were light. There were a lot of games which were empty, and I didn't want my GMs to be sitting around twiddling their thumbs waiting for someone to play. By the time the event hit, however, we ended up with more folks who came to play games than in 2025. Most of the tables were filled, some had a couple of openings which allowed people to stroll over and grab a seat, and it seemed like everybody was having a good time. The folks who were running miniature war games did communicate that those didn't go too well, so they're planning on actually bringing some TTRPGs to run next year in their stead, because that seems to be where the convention is focused, and it does make sense. It's how it was set up. Now, by the end of the convention, we printed 114 badges, which was more than in 2025, even though I had far less student volunteers this year. Now, that doesn't actually mean I had 114 paying attendees. A number of those badges were for staff and volunteers, vendors, and special guests. I also don't charge my GMs for badges, which I can get away with because I don't have any overhead to use the space. It's the church I pastor. I don't have a convention to run without those GMs. So given my lack of cost, it just seems like a fair trade-off to me. Even so, some of the GMs did purchase their badges and told me not to refund their money because they wanted to contribute to the causes we were supporting. And that was very kind, and it allowed this poor soul, who never feels like he's ever doing anything valuable, to breathe a bit and enjoy what we were trying to do. So I gotta say, it was a good crowd. And if you'd like to come and attend as either a player or a GM next year, you can stay in the loop by subscribing to the Ecclesicon website, www.ecclesicon.com. Updates on 2027 will be coming soon. During the seminar, which I ran with Ron Meischger, and the link to it is right there, Ron actually said something profound. If you're thinking about running a gaming convention, the first thing you have to ask yourself is, why do I want to do this? So that leaves me asking, why do I put myself through the ringer each and every year to put on a small gaming convention? I mean, a lot of times the process feels like I'm screaming into the void and no one is listening. It can get really discouraging. So knowing the why, that really helps. Now, Ecclesicon is a fundraiser, and it's a fundraiser because I wanted to contribute to the financial needs of the church. It emerged from the one-shot days that I ran to raise money for a boiler replacement, and it expanded to the roof when we needed that to be replaced as well. But because I know the stigma churches have about being money hungry, a lot of which is earned, I do have to say, I set it so we split the money with another organization. Year one, we did a 50-50 split with my church and the food pantry down the street. Food insecurity is a really important thing that we must tackle. And then the last 2 years, we expanded it more, so I actually split it 25-75 with the church and booksmiles.org, which is a fantastic youth literacy organization here in South Jersey. And I gave the bigger split to Booksmiles because, again, churches are money hungry, and I don't want people to think that that's all I want from folks. So with that said, the purpose of Ecclesicon, the purpose behind Ecclesicon, is the fundraising. That's why I do this, or that's why it exists. That's not the why I put myself through that. It wouldn't be enough. Raising money is never enough. So what's the why? The why is this, and it's cliche for a reason. It's the friendships made along the way. Not just for me, but for the people who come and maybe end up gaming with the same people every year. I love helping to forge connections between people, and telling stories and rolling dice is a great way to help that happen. People went to perhaps sometimes they may have seen each other's comments on a YouTube video or on Discord. But people met each other at Ecclesicon. And some folks have expressed just how much making that real-life connection meant to them. And I know it means a lot to me. So when I'm wiped out and I'm nervous beyond belief before the convention, those connections are what keep me going. That's the why I put myself through this. The laughter, the cheers, and the groans from the tables let me know it's okay. And they help me get over the stresses like a bird flying laps inside the convention room because it thought it lived there now. And yes, that actually did happen the Thursday before the convention this year. My brain was going to explode. See, the thought of those folks feeling welcomed and free to imagine whole other worlds as they became friends with the other folks at the table, that's the why. It's why I do this. And it's why we will do it again. We've got a couple dates in mind for next year. We're going to announce it soon. And what's great about Ecclesicon is that I get a convention experience that's pretty much where I live. And this means a lot of my friends come to me. I don't have to go anywhere. Now, I'm going to list people here, and I'm terrified I'm going to miss someone because my brain is, that's a technical term. And if I do not put you in this list, it doesn't mean that I don't appreciate you. It just means that my brain just evaporated at some point, and you should be on this list, and you can let me know that you should be there. So let's list some folks who were there this year that I am so glad I got to hang out with a little bit, some more than others because I was running around trying to keep the convention running. Dave Ward from Grimwood Games, he came down with his family. It was great to meet Mel and their little who played games with me. It was really cool, and Dave's been here since day one, so thanks, Dave. Ron Meischker of Page and Concoction fame has helped make Ecclesicon what it's become. Gratitude's not a big enough word for all that he's done to help put Ecclesicon on the map where it is. Ed Stark, who's an industry luminary that I don't get to spend enough time with because Ed has got a huge heart and I love being able to hang out with him. Dave Lapp from Pinebox Entertainment has come the last 2 years and I've hung out with him at GameholeCon. He's really great and he's got some really cool stuff, and you are getting on the channel soon, Dave. I will get you there because you've got some stuff I want people to see. The Great Mustache, aka Jonathan Potter, current owner of Open Legend RPG, he donated a huge modular mansion for the auction as well as becoming a gold sponsor for the event. So Stash, thank you so much. And then we got Scrat, aka Benjamin Walker, who is author of Bashkim and the A Squirrel Plays YouTube channel. He failed to sign my ebook though, so I'm holding that against him, even though I didn't actually ask him to do it. I always knew where Scrat was at the convention because when I walked into a room and he was there, I would hear, "Hey, loser." Then we have Phil Wirt, who's also from Page and Concoction fame. One of my favorite moments was sitting down to chat as the convention was wrapping up. Just he, Ron, and I just chilling out, just reflecting on what we had just been through. It was wild. Dave Simpson from Gamers on Games was there with his little, and he's been a good friend in this hobby since my first attendance at PAX Unplugged. Really, really cool. Thanks for coming down. I really loved meeting Squid. It was awesome. We got Shibby and Jake, who I met at GameholeCon last year. They are awesome, and I think I'm putting them on staff next year. I'm not asking them if I'm putting them on staff next year. I just think I'm putting them on staff next year because they're cool. Calvin Park came up with his eldest murder hoboing progeny once again this year. His wife Mandy, who needs to sell books at the convention next year, I'm looking at you, also came up, and their youngest, who is actually a Chaos Goblin of highest order. I love playing with Calvin. We always end up playing characters who are polar opposites, and we just have a blast playing off of that, and his kids are hysterical. And I did get to play with Mandy in my Chaos Adventure. That was really cool. Rob Martin and I go way back indirectly. We have been in each other's orbit since I was in high school, but we just met ourselves a couple years ago. I will do this formally, Dr. James Getz, runner of the Paint and Take, collector of hobbies, pet dad to a corgi, and the man who introduced me to barley wine. Thank you for everything you do, man. Carrie Byerman, another longtime college friend, brought dueling lightsabers and handed them to the littles to use against each other, and no one was hurt. Miracle of miracles. Mel Johnson actually grew up in the church and was ready to lend a hand wherever it was needed. She is awesome. Pete Megna is one of my best friends and helped out a lot this year, including with our signs. That entrance banner you all saw, that's all him. Thanks, Pete. Justin Ridgway, awesome player, donator of the popcorn machine, cable management expert, and creator of bootleg t-shirts for DM Tales. Also a great friend. Thanks, Justin. Tim Kirk has GM'd in, I think, every one of my events that I've run all the way back to the one-shot days and has nabbed some amazing donations for the paint and take. Really, really cool, and thanks for your help, Tim. Elise Paxson was there for the third year in a row. Her first convention experience was Ecclesicon 1, Ecclesicon 2025. She has always been a huge help, and she was again this year. You are awesome, Elise. Yeah, my wife, Jen, ran the snack bar and made sure things worked. And let me tell you, there is no Ecclesicon without her. She is absolutely amazing and was there most of the time. Thank you so much. Linda Horsewood was a huge snack bar help as well and donated the pretzels. Linda is awesome. She is an MVP of volunteers. Thank you so much. The other folks from Central who volunteered were also amazing. We had Larry, Karen, Aaron, Faye, and Mavis. You were so helpful and much appreciated. I am so grateful that you took part in this wonderful, weird thing that your pastor was doing. Then you got eSkilliam, who drove in from Indiana with his wife to be here. You two were great. And now I know your real name, but you will always be eSkilliam to me, and that's just the way things are going to be. Get used to it, buddy. But thank you so much for coming. It was great to meet you in person. And then you got Chet Minton, who is the greatest living third-tier artist, a good guy, and a charter member of the 212 crew. Go check out his stuff. You will not be disappointed. Chet, you were fantastic, and thank you for coming.
I don't think I can forgive myself for forgetting these two in my write-up, but here's Jen Cash and Neil down from Massachusetts, and I think Jen's in New Hampshire, respectively, and they are incredible. Jen did a wonderful seminar on gaming beyond sight. You should go check it out on the YouTube channel. And then there is John Fredericks, the author of Streamlined Superheroes, who is a phenomenal person, great game designer, and everyone who was in one of his games just raved about it. They thought it was incredible. Your dominoes were a huge hit, John. Thank you for coming out for year 3. And in my write-up, I completely forgot to add one John Hambone McGuire for coming down. He ran his playtest of his Shadow Dark adventure that is on crowdfunding right now. I think it's on Kickstarter. And John, I am so grateful you came. Thank you so much.
The Dragon's Revenge came out this year, which is the first time we have had a dice vendor at the con. And let me tell you, if you're running an event and you need some vendors, get the Dragon's Revenge. They curated a fantastic collection of dice and dice-related items to show off at the convention. And even more wild, their prices were bargains. People went nuts for the $25 liquid core dice, like just absolutely bonkers for them. I got a nice metal set. My youngest got a 3D printed sword dice holder with a cool set inside, and my daughter also picked up some stuff from them as well. I was really tempted to get the wooden dice box and tray, but resisted because I just purchased a dice tray for myself and I'm not that much of a dice fiend yet. They were fantastic people, and I can't wait for them to come back next year, and I will have them back next year. I already mentioned Pinebox Entertainment, who was there for a second year, and he had some cool stuff, but as a bonus, Captain Christopher joined him at the convention, and that was a huge ad for it because he is such a colorful and really fun guy to be around. Now, David's stuff is RPG adjacent, but he brought his new 5e bestiary that's based on Filipino mythology, with lore and art created by natives from Filipino culture. And let me tell you, this book is stunning. When my book budget resets, because it's currently, I'm in the red a lot, I'm going to get it. It's on my list. It is that cool looking. And if you see it at a convention this summer, do not hesitate to pick it up because this first batch has a slipcover that is stunning. Really, really cool. And then I had Chet Minton artist. First, Chet's an awesome guy, as I said above. Second, his stuff is amazing, as I also said above. And I picked up this print from his full pop-up store, which captures my channel motto, roll some dice, worlds are waiting, perfectly. The dragon fighting the knight at the top, surrounded by flames, and below it's a group of people rolling dice. Just that is what I want for my channel to convey. This is going on my set. Chet also knew I was eyeing one of his banners, and he left it behind for me, which was an over-the-top kindness, and I'm actually a little upset about it, but it's going on my wall pretty soon. Chet donated a drawing he made at the convention at the behest of Ron Meisker, who thought of really cool things that people would spend money on. Ron won the bid, and then he gave it to me. Also, this is going on the wall because it's just beautiful. There are debts in life that you feel you owe people because you're obligated to something. And then there are debts of gratitude and friendship, which are a joy to accumulate. Chet and the debt of friendship I owe to him is one of those people. And so are Ron and Phil and the rest of the folks from Page. When I say check out Chet's work, I mean it. You will not be disappointed. I've been slated to run 2 games at Ecclesicon this year, Streamline Superheroes and my Cypher System Chaos Adventure, but had a GM had to drop out last minute for an inescapable reason, so I added Sentinel Comics RPG on Saturday morning. All 3 were adventures I'd run a number of times, so the mental load was minimal, and I felt they all went well. For running down each of the systems, every time I run Sentinel Comics RPG, I love it more. It does take some time for folks to get a handle on creating their dice pools. That slows it down a little bit at the start. And I do need to write some more adventures for it because I want to play with the mechanics more at the table, but it is so much fun. I love overcome actions and plot twist. Really, really cool stuff. Streamlined Superheroes is my go-to, I'm bored, let's run a game because it needs no prep beyond, here's a minion stat, the villain does these 2 things well, and here's their theme. Everything else can be done at the table, all the way up to character creation, and that's exactly what we did at Ecclesicon. Cypher remains one of my favorite systems overall, and the Chaos Adventure this year had antics and a player actually called all the way back to the introductory scene where each of the players laid out a bit of their character's personalities. It was so much fun to have Steve at the table, who drove all the way down from upstate New York to be there. And Steve, I got to tell you, I'm so sorry about those dragon boots. You punched a little bit above your weight class there, but you gave it the old college try before your character met their demise in the epilogue. That was really cool. Here's what I'll say about running games this year. It was odd, but I noticed that I was less tired when I ran 2 games on Saturday as opposed to when I ran 1 game on Friday. And that's because when I wasn't running a game on Friday, I was running around making sure things were running smoothly. I was trying to relieve volunteers and just looking for people who were bored so I could sit down and chat with them. And that is mentally draining. I actually had a social energy battery given to me from the Great Mustache that I just kept on going down all the way through the day. But on Saturday, with those 2 game blocks in, I just was less exhausted. It was weird because running games does tend to tire me out, and that was a cool thing for me to discover. My one disappointment with Ecclesicon this year is that I did not get to play in any games, and that bummed me out. I will have to figure that out next year because it's fun to roll dice and just run a character. All right, Coriolis, the Great Dark, and Redacted are sitting there on my desk wondering why I've not written their reviews yet. They're giving me sad puppy dog eyes, and it's really upsetting. So look for those on the channel soon. John Hambone McGuire will be on the channel on May 11th next week to talk about his ongoing crowdfunding campaign for some creepy Shadow Dark adventures. That's going to be a blast. And I'll be at Concoction at the end of the month, where I'll be roaming the convention halls with my camera set up and making myself a general nuisance on behalf of the Concoction staff. I'm also going to be working on some promo interviews for Concoction that will go live on the Philadelphia Area Gaming Expo's YouTube channel, so hop over there and check them out. Folks, thank you for an excellent convention at Ecclesicon 2026, and until we see each other again, folks, happy playing, everyone.